Welcome, everyone. It's Brian Marc Zimberg, #1 best-selling author of Stop, Smile, Breathe, Be, and creator of Access Points, the Modern Life Meditation Plan. Welcome to episode 1 of Awake Life. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the big E word in spirituality, and that's enlightenment. What is it really? Why are you interested in enlightenment? In fact, why is it important for you to be interested if you're not interested in enlightenment? Odds are, if you're watching this video right now, we're already on a self-help journey of wanting to be better or improve yourself. And then you're probably gotten to a point where that was exhausting and you're on the spiritual journey where you want more peace or more happiness in your life. So this show is called Awake Life, and we're going to explore what is it to awaken and what is it to live an awake life. So many of you probably have already gotten to the point, or maybe you're at the point right now where you think you've had enough of this life. Then hang on, because everybody hurts. Excuse my bad voice. But that's the truth of it. Life can be a grind, life can be a struggle. And odds are, to get to the place of awakening, spiritual awakening, or interest in enlightenment, you first usually come to a place where you're ready to just give up. Buddha said life is suffering because basically all our desires lead to a temporary fulfillment. So let's look at the context of your modern day life, because I'm really interested in a practical understanding of what is enlightenment in a modern context. You see, we live in a modern world. I mean, are you desiring enlightenment because you want to run off and be a guru and live off and be a monk in a mountain somewhere? Because you can do that, right? But no, odds are you have a life, you have a family, you're in the context of this world. So Buddha said that desire leads us to things that are temporary fulfillment. So if we look at that in the context of our modern life, we achieve things. We're told our whole life we're going to go get something and achieve it. So we learn how to be achievers. And when we achieve something, how does it feel? Think of something you've achieved in your life. It's temporary. We have a temporary moment of achievement. And it feels good. And we can be excited and exhilarated. And other people around us can be excited for us. But it slowly fades away, right? The fulfillment, that happiness fades away. When you have a relationship and you get love, 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 and all of a sudden you're whole and you're complete by another, it tends to fade away. Right? We can learn the skill of relationship and sustaining this love, but understand that everything you grasp in the outer world fades away. That happiness doesn't last. You buy a nice car that you want so bad. It makes you feel great at the beginning, right? It's like when you buy a cell phone, you take care of it good, and then it becomes whatever. It just gets chipped, and okay, who cares? Because it gives us this temporary fulfillment. And we realize that that gives us temporary happiness. And at some point, that material, illusion becomes not enough. Then we get to this point where we have this disillusionment, right? We either start feeling frustrated or we realize there's something more to life. We feel this sense of pain or meaninglessness, or what the hell is the point of all this already? And a warning along the journey you should know if you're in that space right now is that there's this existential funk that can happen there. This, what's the point? And I feel like giving up. I want to quit. And when it goes even deeper, that's really where depression and even suicide can ensue, where it literally seems pointless and meaninglessness. And I'm sure many people out there have felt this, right? This kind of like, I give up. What's the point? Or am I screwing up my children? Or I can't hold it all together. I'm sick of holding it all together. Let's be honest with each other here. It's exhausting. Life can be exhausting trying to keep it up and keep it together based on what you've been told it's supposed to be about. And you realize that it's key. It's a key disillusionment. And if you've already been on the journey, you've realized this, amen. If not, it's coming for you. That's why you're here. There's no mistake in our meeting right now. So first off, it is not pointless and meaningless. It's actually full of a point. That the point is that emptiness is not meaningless, but it's actually fullness. It's fulfillment. And when we discover enlightenment truly, we discover true fulfillment. We discover fullness, endlessness. We discover emptiness that is vast, infinite, that you are one with that which is whole, that you are already complete now. So, along the road, we kind of have this dawning of this isn't enough. There has to be another way. There has to be something more. I want to know the truth, right? I want to know what's real. I want to stop lying to myself. I want to stop living out of a program. I want to stop being stuck in my mind. And I want to live from reality. I want to live from truth. And we dawn on the idea of spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening. First, before we can really talk about what enlightenment really is, we need to take a look at what enlightenment is not. Okay? There's a lot of misconceptions and myths and misbeliefs and understandings about this, and it keeps us kind of on the spiritual journey, on a hamster trail, trying to get to a destination. Often, people think of enlightenment as this final permanent state, right? When I reach enlightenment, I'm going to be blissed out. I'm only going to have positive emotions. I'm only going to feel blissed all the time with a big grin, Like, that's enlightenment. Or maybe enlightenment is that you're going to turn to a light body and disappear. Now, I'm not saying that that can't happen, but the truth of the matter is, enlightenment isn't those things. You still will be a human being. Emotions will still come and go. Some of the greatest sages still died of cancer, right? Osho had back pain. Paramahansa Yogananda did preserve his body and have a glowing light, but he was a yogi. So is the goal of enlightenment for us each to be a yogi? You see, there is development of our consciousness, and maybe we could be moving towards a light body. But let's get real for a moment. What is spiritual awakening? It is waking up to reality. So let's take a look for a moment at when you have a nightmare or you have a dream, all right? You probably can remember a time where there was someone trying to kill you in a dream. Somebody was chasing you. You were scared. Can you remember that time? Think of a bad dream you had, and then you woke up. And you're like, oh, it was just a dream. Now, go back in the context of that dream. In the dream, it was real, right? You didn't know you were dreaming. Like, if a lion is chasing you and wants to kill you, salivating, running after you in a dream, you're going to feel fear, you're going to be running, you're going to be sweating, you're going to be scared, right? You're going to be suffering. But when you come out of the dream, you wake up. So it is very possible, my friends, for you to start to recognize that these atoms and molecules, that your photons are seeing me and seeing this world, that you're buying into the thoughts in your head, and you're calling that reality, and it's creating your suffering. It's creating your struggle of your life. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up and realize it's just a dream. Yes, it is real in a context of creation, in the physical manifestation of infinity. And you as an individual have the divine birthright to awaken to the truth of who you are, to awaken. I mean, imagine the glory of the opportunity through all this evolution, billions of years going by, coming to this individuation and form, your DNA, possible to turn back on its own awareness and awaken to its truth. For life, for God to awaken in the creation at itself. That's the difference of what we call, right, and the Hindus call Leela and Maya. Maya, the illusion of life, right? We're caught in our minds. We're caught as an individual. We're separate, therefore we can be destroyed. And life is a survival. We're a survival animal. We're stuck in that process. When we awaken, when we step out of the dream, right? When the lion isn't real and the fear is false evidence appearing real, but not because it's a good teaching, not because it's a good idea, but because we really have a shift. This shift is crucial because When you've awakened, which you already had an essential experience, you already have awakened, then something without a question, without a doubt, you know that you're freedom itself, that who you are is love itself. In the moment of spiritual awakening, if you've been there already, you know. We call it an essential experience. If you've had that moment, for me, it happened profoundly and deeply in Joshua Tree Desert in 1996, at the end of a mushroom journey on the come down. I felt like light hit my chest, but it was beyond just that. It was clear to me that everything was one, that I was whole, that I was it, that I am it, that God is it, that everything is one, everything is perfect. In this essential experience, we break through the veil of illusion. We see the wizard on the other side, and we get the cosmic joke, right? We might even have the cosmic laugh, right? Have you been there? Have you been there where you have that cosmic laugh where it's just like, oh my gosh, I've been caught up in believing on me and then this and all these trips. And then you just see crystal clear the beauty of infinity, that you are it. See, my dear friends, enlightenment looks like you right now. Enlightenment sounds like me right now. This is it. Exactly how it is. You probably maybe heard this story where they asked, I think, Lao-Tzu, what did you do after you were enlightened? And he said he had some tea. He had some tea. Why? Well, it's the same as before enlightenment, chop wood. After enlightenment, chop wood. See, the essential realization is that it is endless, infinite, and it is now. And it's not held in any time or space. It's not held in any concept or idea. There's no you. There's no nothing. It's endless, endless, endless. And it's joy and it's freedom. And that's you right now. Enlightenment looks like you now. All the good parts of you, all the bad parts of you. Enlightenment looks like you. So if you had that moment of realization, that spiritual awakening, we could say, then what happens along the spiritual journey is this chasing of the state of enlightenment, right? This finished place where you're just going to be enlightened all the time. Now there is a shift, and that shift begins with that essential experience where we are more identified with awareness itself, right? Like the background becomes the front, and the front becomes the background. Your story, your individual story, your centered me becomes the background, and the background becomes the front. And that is a shift that is profound. We could call that enlightenment, where you're more identified with the truth of who you are, infinity, than you are with this individual mind. And in that, there's just love. You see, in this, I just want to tell you I love you. Why? Because there's truly no other. There truly is no other. The absolute reality you have probably already realized. And if you're a person out there who's like, well, I'm just a beginner, I haven't realized that. In a moment in nature, remember a time where you saw some awe-inspiring vista. You looked out at some beautiful sunset or some sunrise. You're awe-struck, right? In that moment, there's no you almost, right? Everything's connected. You're there, but you're not there. You're whole. You're complete. There's a moment of peace that we've all had out in nature. We have that moment in orgasm too. So you've had this moment. You might not define it as a spiritual awakening because you didn't have this clarity of like, wow, I've just been chasing my tail. I get the cosmic joke and I see infinity and I'm it. But it'll come for you. That's coming next if you're on this journey and you're here listening to this video right now. So how do we really experience that shift and allow this enlightenment, this awakening, to fall deeper and deeper. There is an end of being asleep, but there is no end to waking up. We let go, greater than ever before, not in a concept that we think letting go is. Take our hands off the steering wheel. We surrender to this discomfort of this unknown, and we drop, we fall. There's no end to infinity meeting infinity. If you've already recognized that that oneness is truth, the absolute baseline, then it's time to start noticing that you're trying to get back to an experience that happened in the past. See, now this is really crucial. These experiences we've had in the past, they're not it. You see, in an enlightening experience, we have sensation, we have feeling, we have bliss, right? So we have experience, we have sensory, we have emotion, we have thought maybe even. But all that comes and goes. It is all pointing to the stillness, the infinity, which is beyond concept, beyond thought, beyond experience, beyond emotion, beyond sensation. It was all there to point you to that. And then all that fades away, and we get back on the journey, and we're trying to get back to this feeling and this experience. You know, there was a student of mine years ago. His name was Bill. He suffered from depression for years. He was on a spiritual quest for 30 years, depression. He had been a Vietnam vet, and he was in halfway houses, post-traumatic stress, a lot of different issues that plagued him. And he was a devoted spiritual seeker. He tried mystery schools and different teachers that had rules and structure and hardcore stuff. But his greatest experience before meeting me came from this out-of-body experience that he had. You see, he said in it, he felt so free. He was no longer his body. The crap of life was like gone. Like he didn't have to concern himself with the struggle and the suffering of life anymore. He could just be free and at peace. And his whole journey from there on out was to get that back. Right? So we get on the spiritual journey and we attain these realizations and these epiphanies. And so we start to collect them like they're achievements. It is time for you to give up your spiritual treasures. For those of you on the spiritual journey, it's time for you to stop and give up. It sounds crazy, but like when I said to Bill, give up this feeling that you want to get back to. Give up this experience. Give up this experience that you think you had in some past. It doesn't serve you right now. We need to get and understand that your past experiences are not it. Enlightenment is right now as it is. And in fact, when you realize that infinity right now by not following the thought out of your head, right now, and you stop believing your thoughts for a moment, then infinity, enlightenment's right here. And it doesn't know a past experience or remember what it's supposed to be trying to get to. It's clean, it's fresh, and it's new. Stop trying to get there. And you already know so much, you got to give up knowing. You know, when you don't know, you know. When you know, you don't know. It's time to give up your attainments. It's time to give up your knowing, your philosophical understandings. When your intellectual identification with your mind is just clouded by a bunch of past experiences and understandings, that even your own realization and your own enlightenment is in the way of your own true-heartedness, then it's time to stop. I'm inviting you to call out the search. You know, the great line by Papaji that many of us might know. See, to really hear this right now, in this video, in this moment, you can have a deeper awakening than you've ever had in your life. You can actually have a shift deeper than you've ever known. So the way to really start living an awake life and deepening in your own awakening is to finally give up the search. Start inquiring into who you are and why you are here. Right now, right here. Be willing for a moment to just stop, to call out the search. call for search for happiness. Let go. Be willing not to follow the next thought out of your head. Give up the hope of enlightenment. Give up the avoidance of what you feel is uncomfortable. For a moment, just stop for a moment. What is here? Forget everything that can be forgotten. What is here now? Excellent. So explore that, right? Explore beingness. So if you're someone who's deep on the journey, it's time for you to let go of all your experiences, all your knowledge, all your understandings, and recognize moment to moment that every time you're in your thoughts, every time you're in your individual perspective that knows these things, that had these experiences, that thinks it should be more enlightened and more experienced somewhere else, in that moment, you're in your thoughts again. You're in separation again. To have a true transcendence moment to moment of individual thought, of separate self, is when we align ourselves with oneself, right here, right now. And in that there's a fluidity, a moment-to-moment opening, vulnerability, a willingness to welcome whatever arises and falls. I invite you to that right now. Please. For all of us and for you. And for those of you who are maybe think you're a beginner, you're just starting out on this journey, or you're somewhere in between, I want you to notice with me right now that you are. Just say I am. That you are. That you are is this isness. You see? You are. And they say fake it until you make it. Well, if everything in the real self-realization and the realization of infinity, oneness, everything's connected and everything's one. In a lot of my teaching, I call it your true oneself. Oneself. That's you. So fake it till you make it. Hey, how about right now? Look down at the floor you're at. Is it being? Is it? It is. Look at wherever you are. Look up at the sky or the ceiling. Is it? It is. Your mind can say it's a color. Your mind can have definitions and labels about things, but it is. Start noticing that everything is. Start noticing that you are. There is no other. Everything is oneself meeting oneself. When you can take on that perspective, even if you haven't had the shift of living in that perspective, when you can choose, when you're caught in struggle, when you're caught in feeling bad and trying to get rid of a bad emotion, you can just accept that everything is yourself meeting itself. It's oneself. You'll have a different opening to life. Noticing the is, that you are, that being is everywhere, that everything is just being. And any moment you can shift to that perspective and an openness and the beauty of life. In that essential experience, we had this total sense of perfection, this total sense that everything is perfect, that everything is okay. The stream is leading you where it is, and your life form, your journey is all accumulated to this moment right now. If you're hearing me right now in this moment, then it's an invitation to allow yourself to finally be, to explore being. And if you think you know this already, I dare you to drop that idea that you know it and explore your being deeper. So, thank you for joining here. We're going to jump in here and really start ripping this apart, really looking at what is awakening and what is it to live an awake life, looking at different aspects of this spiritual journey. The truth is, it is all spiritual. Right? I'm not a human being having a spiritual experience, but I'm a spirit having a human experience. It is all spiritual, my friends. And when we start living in the mystical context and the beauty of perfection that is actually who and what we are, then there's a shift in life right here and now. Nothing has to change. All emotions are welcome. Good and bad can happen in life. The story can play out. But you can know that you already are whole. It is your divine birthright to understand the perfection and beauty of life moment to moment, even when there's horror, even when there's pain. I love you. I send you all the love. I send you all the blessings. So until next time, here's to living an awake life from your true oneself and into the greatest expression of you. Hey everyone, it's Brian Marc. Did you like that episode? If you did, you can do 3 things right now to continue your journey. First, you can subscribe right here to my channel, which I hope you will, so I can keep sending you videos on a weekly basis to help transform your life. Second, you can go to my website, brianmarc.com, and sign up for my newsletter so that I can send you free offers, free products, free programs, updates on my events, podcasts, and basically everything that we don't do on my channel here. You can find the link to brianmarc.com in the description below. Third, if you want to go deeper on living inner peace and freedom, then register to attend my latest seminar for free by clicking on the link right here. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Be sure to hit subscribe for weekly videos and click on the button to register for the free seminar now. Here's to living an awake life from your true oneself and into the greatest expression of you.